Welcome back to Switch to Linux. I hope that everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Well, if you're in the United States anyway. The rest of you, well, if you worked for Amazon, you were probably on strike. We'll talk about that a little bit more later near the end of the show here. But we're going to jump on into some news items. So, greetings to everyone that is here already. We have Pseudo Linux first to the field. Greetings then, quickly followed by Technobismo. Kelgan, greetings there. I'm ready for some Switch to Linux to go with this leftover pumpkin pie. Sweet. Yeah, I end up making a brand new dessert this time. It was a new experimental. It is a coconut ice cream cake topped with lightly sweetened Cool Whip and roasted coconuts. It was quite fabulous. I'm not a fan of pumpkin pie, so I went with that. Oh boy, and Pseudo Linux retracts some messages. All right. Those were probably good messages to retract, though, anyway. All right. Let's see. So Pseudo Linux is back to Ubuntu Mate. That's cool. Brian the Computer Geek, greetings. Kagan Trout, greetings. Okay, let's see. Spider Eyes, hello there. Some pies are best left in the freezer, yes. Alright, so at least there's some benefit to screwing up my sleep pattern yet again. Yeah, you know, why not? Not the full Spider-Man, just his eyes. Greetings, Anthony, how are you? And, okay, we'll have a look at Pseudo Linux's website here later. Okay, don't have much room to talk. My last name comes from a fish. But it's a tasty fish. Alright. Damiano, how's it going there? Anyone go out yesterday evening or early this morning for Consumer Day? I only went out to get groceries and it was a nightmare. I actually did go out a little bit today just simply because I wasn't driving, but I always wanted to get out there and see how crazy it is. And it's kind of a weird thing here in State College because without the students in town, like most of the town is out of town. And so even if everybody does come out, it feels like it's empty because we are only at 20% capacity of our town when the students aren't here. And so that's kind of the case. And Kitty says, "Hello, everyone. I had a good Thanksgiving dinner." That's right. He had some chicken. Yeah, both these guys, they got some chicken for Thanksgiving. Yes, they did. And they liked it a lot. All right. And so, yeah, I did. I got to see what I could only describe. In fact, I commented it as being, it looked like a Nazi death march on into Best Buy early in the morning. And then, of course, this is neat. I think that what happened here is, it's a little different, but let me show you a picture of this. These are the new smart tags that Best Buy is putting up on everything. And this, I think, is an IR receiver, but that could very easily also be a camera, which is really kind of interesting, being that facial recognition is being used quite a bit. And so, yeah, it was kind of crazy. Of course, I didn't even know Solo was doing this, but now Solo has their own, disposable shot glasses, perfect for a college town. And of course, this is indeed a one full daily allotment of calories inside this Hershey Kiss. Like 1,800 calories in there. So yeah, it was my fun shopping stuff for the day. Kitty, get off my desk. Thank you. It's Consumer Day. It's a shame that stores are still opening on Thanksgiving. Give it a day, all right? Give it a day to break, okay? Give it a rest. Give it a rest. Good evening, James. How are you? Did all my shopping online today. Who needs Walmart syndrome? Yep. All right. Cat is thick. He's actually not that overweight. He's just excessively hairy and fluffy and stuff. So, All right. Well, let's go ahead and okay, Cat. I need to move my tea, so I need you off my desk. Stay off my desk, Cat. Off my desk. I'm going to have to put you down if you don't get off my desk. All right. Let's see how my tea's doing today. Perfect. We have a organic white peach from. I think it originates in China. Actually, is where that one comes from. Where's Carbon Programmer? We need some China on there. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump on into our news. Enough for our introductions. That was a little too long of an introduction. But we have 2 fun articles from Facebook. We have some news on privacy and security. There is some Uber trouble out there. And a couple articles to wrap up with bad business. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into this with our Facebook. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one here. Let me know how you like this background here. I added some nice effects around my around the edges of my borders there, and put in these bubbles. I think the bubbles. Let me see, is the bubbles full screen? Bubbles don't look like they're full screen. Bubbles are not full screen. Where are the bubbles not full screen? There we go. Now the bubbles are full screen. Yay, that's better. A little distracting, I think. But if it's too distracting, let me know. I'll change the background. But anyway, so, I mean, come on, guys. It's the Russians. It's the Russians. It's the Russians. Does anybody feel like... I wasn't alive during this time. Do I have any viewers who were alive during the Cold War? Does it feel like the Cold War right now? We got like Russia, 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 Russia. And so Facebook is now continuing basically they're utilizing a tool so you can see if you liked any pages that came out of Russia. Okay. All right. Well, good to know Facebook's trying to come on back to doing things good and with good ethics until no, it turns out that this is actually a follow-up to one we covered like last year. It actually turns out that Facebook is still letting housing advertisers exclude users by race, which is a really big no-no. This caused a huge ruckus when this was first discovered. Basically, you can narrow down your ads to being so narrow on your ads that you can really exclude races, you can exclude certain income classes, you can exclude demographics, all of which is highly illegal. And the way the laws are written, if you want to offer like a property for rent, you cannot discriminate on the basis of anything, really. I mean, you're going to discriminate on the basis of a homicidal maniac, and some places get away with criminal or felony records or sexual abuse records. Some of them will allow you to do that, but basically you can still submit ads. So what ProPublica did is they were doing some tests, paying very close attention to the rules. And what happened is they submitted a whole bunch of ads for this. And what they found is that these things all published the ads. Only one of them took longer than 3 minutes, and that only took 22 minutes. And it literally said, quote, interested in Islam, Sunni Islam, or Shia Islam. It took 22 minutes to approve that. All of the other ones, looking at different races and things, let's see. Do they have... Don't scroll through stuff. We received your order. Reviewing your ad. Make sure it meets our advertising policies. Usually takes less than 15 minutes. Your ad is approved. It just started running, so you don't have any results yet. When you do, you'll see them here. And African American, Asian American, or Hispanic. So it's Dominic. So basically they were producing targeted ads, and this is a huge violation of the law. And so that is a fascinating little thing. So that is that one. How's that background? This is a good transition time. If that background's too distracting, we'll move it. What do you guys think? Background distracting, or is it good? All right, let's see. Greetings, LJ. Back in Chicago. Cool. How's the wind out that way? Okay. When did this start? It started about 9 minutes, actually 10 minutes, right now, 10 minutes ago. And I did about 5 minutes of an intro. So we have not hit our main story yet. Our main story is coming up in 2 articles. I'm going to do one article first, and then we'll do our main story. All right, we're on MX16. Sweet. I like the website pop-up. Yes, I put that in. That's JavaScript code. I added it to the footer of my website to tell people, call your congresspeople, call your congressmen and women, call your senators, call anybody and everybody who could do something about Asia Pie. Just don't do it on the darknet. Please. We're not going there. All right. All my shopping online. Let's see. Kitty is sick. Do some curl sets. All right. Many television internet ads, although everyone can see it, are destined to make only affect someone by race. That is correct. And they are also in violation of the law. There was more fear of Russia during the Cold War. Today it feels like the fear of Russia is used more like political purposes. I think you're probably right about that. I think that's the case. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on over. Let's see. Our next one is on security and privacy. So do I have a privacy one? Ooh, I do have a privacy one. There we are. There's some privacy stuff. All right, so with our privacy, the first one, this was actually sent to me by a friend of mine today, so we want to have a look at this. So facial recognition is now tracking customers as they shop in stores. This is actually nothing new. I've actually been saying these, but like shocking, lo and behold, it's now absolute gospel truth. It's moved out of the realm of conspiracy theory and fake news now into the mainstream because it was on CNBC. Okay, it was on a mainstream media, so now, oh my God, shocking. Well, if you follow this channel and several other ones like it, you know they've been doing this for a long time. But this guy's coming out and CNBC's like, oh my God, this is starting to happen. And this is great for consumers. That's their message. Their targeting message is this is awesome for consumers. This is great. They can track you. They can see where you're looking. They can see what you're doing. Anyone watch Minority Report? You know, the more and the more and the more I start doing this, the more and the more and the more I start seeing Minority Report being the reality of our society, if not 1984. But what was absent in 1984 is the mass marketing of the advertising stuff, and that it was pure mass marketing of Big Brother. Very close to where we're going, but we're just seeing way too much of that. So that's kind of like Minority Report. You walk down the street and every little thing sees and scans your retina and then gives you a tailored ad exclusively for you. Which, by the way, Yahoo had patents for that, and that's probably why Verizon bought them, is because it's not that they had a lot of good stuff, it's that they had patents, and having patents is the thing that they wanted. That's what they're doing. They're like, yeah, we'll buy this hacking and security mess because these patents are powerful. And what these patents did, in fact, I think it was my third or fourth ever tinfoil hat episode was about those patents. You have to dig way back in the archives, almost over about a year back or so to look for it, to find it. But the patent basically said that electronic billboards coming, it would identify who was in the car based upon your smartphone, and as you're rounding the turn, it would load an ad on the billboard knowing who was coming around the bend in the car. And that's, I mean, pretty much exactly Minority Report, except it was using your cell phone to track you instead of your eye retina. But that's the stuff. Yahoo held those patents as of last year, which, of course, Verizon buying them gains access to all those patents. So this is kind of creepy, but you can come over here and read this article, or maybe watch the video since they force you to watch it. And so, you know, you can come over here and this JOS is working. It's just measuring people. Now, a lot of stores have apps to do this. Like, you know, Target will have an app. If you have the Target app, it will literally map you through the store. Your phone will beep if you're near a sale that it thinks that you will like. I mean, that's creepy stuff. That's creepy stuff. And they're all selling this as a good thing because they're like, oh, we don't know. How's this working? Oh, yeah, this must be great. Must be great, you know. And so that's kind of that. All right. So, next on to our main story. And again, people, this is something I talked about 6 months ago. In the middle of July, I talked about this story. But a research article was just released by these guys, the Freedom to Tinker. And they released this report, was this November 25th? Is that? That's tomorrow's date, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Maybe most of the servers all messed up. I don't know. Okay, so they released this one 9 days ago, November 15th. And what they were looking at is, if you remember, we did this on a news way back in the summer, and certain websites could track everything that you're doing in interacting with that website. And it goes to the extent where they know where your mouse is, they know how you're scrolling, they know when you interact with a form, and they know the data, the content data of that form, even before you click the link. So if there's a web form, you fill out stuff on the web form. If you're like, I don't like this, I want to do away with this, then you cancel out of the form. They already have the data that you were going to put in there. That is why there's a major security risk. And although they say that, personally identifiable data, it's masked, but it's masked in such a way it's very easy to unmask. Because basically several websites were using a series of companies, and all of these companies are just, they're just big data mining companies. And so the data mining companies are just scooping up every bit of data, selling these services to major websites. So I found a couple of observations because I went through the list. They have hundreds of sites listed. In fact, they have on their database right now, they have 1,300 sites. I didn't go on every single site, but I definitely hit at least 5 sites with every one of the tracking policies. Here's a few observations. Number 1, all of your big trendy sites you've probably seen ads for are doing this. Grammarly was in there. I've seen ads for Grammarly lately. So Grammarly ads are in there. WebMD, and that's creepy as all get out. WebMD. I don't even think WebMD was in their list. I actually identified a few extra ones that they didn't actually point out. Who are other ones? Microsoft, and every Microsoft product. Microsoft, Skype, LinkedIn. Why be creative? Let's go ahead and look at the list. So basically what they did is they were looking at a variety of different things, and then here is literally where the data is feeding through, and this is recording a keystroke identifying what the data is, where that's literally collecting data. This is before you submit the form. As you are typing into the form, it is logging every instance of interaction with this form and sending an IP link back. Okay? And so we looked at a lot of different guys on here, and let's see. Let's go down. There's easy list. Okay. Was it near the top? They had a giant list of links. I think they put it on the top. Okay, so here's their data. So they just released their data. So these are the site lists that they currently have. So you can do a search for the website over here. You can do the search over here for what the group is, and you can do a search over here for what it is. So the session replay company. So ClickTail, there's, I don't know, like 7 or 8 of these. So ClickTail, so you can see Acrobat, Adobe, Ancestry, Azure, CBS, Chegg. I mean, these are big companies, and these are known companies, Domino's. So let's go ahead. So this is looking for ClickTail. Let's go ahead and open up Domino's, and I'll show you how to look for this stuff. Of course, we're on Firefox. This should work on any version of Firefox. So here we're loading up Domino's. I'm going to push the F12 key, and that brings up your developer tools. And then you need to come over to Network tab, and what this is doing is every interaction that the site takes, it's going to be going on. So if I would need to go over and find a form, and then we'd start to see a whole lot. But what I'm going to do now is set that network pane is open, is I'm going to open this up again. And what you're seeing is all of these guys going on down here at the bottom. These are all of the scripts loading. So that shows you everything. Now what you'll see here is Demdex. Oh, I hate that. Okay, I use a different one on my development computer. Demdex, here's your ClickTail, and here's your Google scripts. You'll see that those ones there are not loading. And that is because I spent a good few hours today, and I built a script that blocks all of these. And I'm deploying them across my network now. So none of these sites, what these are called session relays or session replays. And basically they will allow them to send the data back to the company. What I did is I wrote a big script to wipe them all out. And so none of these ones that I know about are actually going to work. And so that's kind of what you're looking for. So the Demdex is one that is not... oh, can I expand that column out, please? Oh, come on. This is why I hate the Firefox built-in ones. I want to expand that column out to see that. I want to see the whole thing. So demdex.net is not one that they talked about. Okay. But you'll see as you flip through this how many people are using these. Decibel Insight, so CBS News, CBS Sports, Toyota, British Airways, DigitalOcean. I mean, so these are major, major companies. ABS, CBN. Oh, Bluehost. Yay for Bluehost. It's a jar of hot air right there. All right, so what I did is I went through these sites and I tracked down all of those scripts and determined where things are loading. And then what I did is I built the script, and it is at switch. If you go to switchtolinux.com, which is my main site, go down to resources and hit privacy resources. Down here, of course, I just have, whatever. Your major disclaimer. Go ahead and click this. It's going to open up, either open up or save a copy of this session replay script. And here I have a README and I have a script. And the script here is a big hosts file. So you just need to take what the contents of this host file and you need to drop that into your host file. And that will block all of these that I currently know of. And so that is kind of where we're at with that. So this is bad because these companies can collect the data. They can collect the data in real time. They submit this stuff back in plain text, and it's very easily sniffable. It's very easily attractable, and this is just kind of crazy. This is crazy stuff. And so big data mining companies, there's a whole bunch of them. I wrote that script. You can go onto my website and grab that. Feel free to spread that around if you want, either the link or just the file itself. But anyway, that is all about key tracking. Now, what I want to do is probably Tuesday, if I get the chance, I'm going to do a full comprehensive detailed video on how to identify those, how to recognize them, and how to block them, and how to deploy those across your systems. So I'm planning on doing that on Tuesday, just so that we can have a look at that. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, from all those headlines, those bubbles remind me of getting some thumbs. Is the Android my main phone now? It's my business line. My Android's my business line. Yeah, I should swap them because the iPhone really doesn't do well anymore. Laughing at the zombies trying to get deals on the stores on Black Friday. Yeah, I suppose they could tie your face to the card and you will pay with the store, especially if you have a loyalty card. Yep. Mind you, I got down each aisle about 10 times, so I'm so useless at shopping. That will hopefully screw things up. Screw Google. Okay. All right. Yes, I will have to concur, dude. All right. I've been watching documentaries on YouTube all day about the big internet corporation, data collection, smartphone addiction. Isn't that scary? Somehow I doubt that, but I will. No, actually, the dude, 2 of my big followers are like 12, and they're on right now. So, yeah, please do appreciate it if you keep the language down a little bit. Since this is a live stream, click out of the live chat box, press L, keep doing that. Tom starts repeating words. It's fun. What? 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 Repeat, words. Okay. What's the script? Yes, it is right there on the site. Well, I'll go ahead and drop that. Let me go ahead and drop that in the log here. There's the script. All right, sudo Linux is going out to Chow. Those addresses in the host file. Yes, they are all in the host file. Should put together a privacy playlist of all the hacks, tools, and tricks you put together. You know, it is actually on my list of things to do is to make a whole comprehensive digital privacy course. I just haven't had the time to do it. I might actually throw it in as a Patreon thing. When I get a certain amount of Patreon support, I can do it. It's just I'm so pressed for time as it is. That's why it's taken me like months to get the router set up. It's about there. It's about there, and I really need it to get there because right now my router is the bottleneck in my whole network because it's only a 10100 router, but everything else I have is gigabit powered. So yeah, and I do have that. In fact, I'm probably going to put that into the Patreon list soon. Just say once I cross a certain amount of support per month, then I can start working on the privacy courses. So is the keylogger done over secure connection? No, it is not. It is regular HTTP. People realize all the personal data is being scooped up. You'd have quite a clientele. General users always lazy to read documentation. Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump on over to the next thing in the... I kind of lumped privacy and security together. So, of course, if you've been living under a rock last couple days or just too busy with holiday stuff, there was a major vulnerability in Intel. And I actually have older Intel computers, so I didn't even bother checking all my systems. But there is a pretty serious bug that is irrespective of your operating system. And you should double check if you are on these. So any 6th, 7th, or 8th generation Intel processors, Xenon processors of these states, Apollo Lakes, so your Atoms, your Pentiums, and your Celeron, and through J series processors. Double check if you are susceptible to this this particular error. So there is a where's it at? I might have passed it. Okay, so here is a detection tool. So they have the detection tool for Windows and Linux. So to use this on Linux, what you're going to do on Linux is you're going to, let me see, where am I at? Whoa, I don't know why that's doing that. All right, so on Linux, what you want to do is, let's see. They give you a binary and simply extract it. And then what you want to do is go away. Just extract the file, and then there's documentation down here. And literally what I did is I just came down here to the this guy here. It's just the basic PDF, how to install it. So basically just unzip it into a directory, and then set these two files here as executable and run this script here. You do have to run the script elevated, so I'd have to run sudo and then paste my script in. Okay, so then it's going to do its little thing, and it'll tell you down here. So based on the analysis performance, the system is not vulnerable, which I knew that because this guy is, I think, a 3rd generation Core i5. So that's how the tool works on Linux. Quite easy. You don't have to install anything. Just download the file, extract it, run it from the terminal, and that'll take care of that for you. So just go ahead and double check that if you are running one of those processors, or if you're unsure, run that tool, and that'll check if you have that security vulnerability. All right, let's see. What's next? Oh, yes. The Department of Justice names Iranian hacker who stole the unaired episodes from HBO. Well, hey, at least it wasn't the Russians, right? I mean, come on. It should have been Russians. So, yeah. Basically, I didn't even actually read this article. I just thought the headline was awesome because, hey, the hackers were found. It's the HBO hackers. We have so many problems in our world, and we're worried about hackers stealing HBO episodes. All right, go ahead. Skype just decided to vanish from the the Apple stores in China, app stores in China. So pretty much in China, they're looking at Skype going, oh, we can't control this thing. We have no idea how to control this thing. We're blocking it. We're blocking it. It allows communication outside of our great firewall. People can listen to viewpoints that are outside of our national party. So apparently you can still find it, like on F-Droid or whatever else, download it, sideload it. You can still do that, but it's not available in app stores. Who knows how to install apps outside of app stores anymore, though? You know, do that. Get rid of most of them. So yeah. That is that. So that's our security and our privacy for the day. Oh, yeah, I have the newspaper from 2001. Yes, I do. Actually, I knew that was such a significant event that day, and I was on campus. We got, access to free newspapers. So that day, I got a New York Times, a USA Today, and our local newspaper. I think I have our college newspaper as well. So I actually have 4 newspapers from September 12th, 2001. It just happens USA Today had the best picture. Yeah, you need to... I believe it's a USB exploit. Excuse me, I have to cough. All right, good thing about this particular mic is I can very easily switch it off for a second. All right, let's see, and it's HP, so they'll never update anything. Actually, the update said, several of the manufacturers already have the security updates patched. If you're using the software, and I don't remember if HP was in that list, but several of them already do. I know Dell was on the list. I don't know about the other ones. HTTPS even SSL too. Link that Linux one for me. Oh, from the, I'm sorry, the I will have all of the links in the video description right after the show, so you can go and find the Intel one, and it's right down there. It'll be in the show description as soon as we're done here. 26K or 2600K was the golden child. You can use this exploit to remove the government backdoor and Intel shell chips too. Intel Management Engine, IME. Yeah, I think my Windows computer is maybe a 3rd generation as well, and I think my main Linux work computer is a 5th generation. I need to run the tool on that one. That one could be vulnerable. Old AMD bulldozer chipset. The government blackmailed these chip makers, putting backdoors and everything. Yep, pretty much. New chips have similar backdoors. Yep. I was disappointed to find out HP bought out Samsung printers. Oh boy, yeah, well, I pretty much should stop doing business with both of those groups, but yeah, and I won't be buying any more Samsung, that's for sure. I have this thing, I don't buy anything associated with HP products. Greetings, Carbon! Do keyloggers on the sites affect Linux? Absolutely they do. They are JavaScript files that load on any web browser you use. So yeah, you're late to the show, Carbon Programmer. And you'll have to watch the rest, but I'm actually going to do, I'm planning on Tuesday to do a whole comprehensive on this one here, how to identify it, identifying sites, how to block them, and I have a script that you can download. If you scroll up to the chat log, I dropped the script in there. All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about some Uber trouble. Do I have anything good to be good with Uber? You know what? Uber sucks. We'll call these guys scammers. All right, so of course this is the 2016 data security incident. They are actually, there are 2, as of I know of, as of right now, 2 lawsuits were filed against them over this. Because of course, if a company has a data leak, it is mandated that they report it immediately. And that's kind of like, why did Equifax wait so long? I know the reason why they waited so long. They waited so long because they had to wait till the CEO, the CTO, and the other dude could sell some stocks. I know they were cleared of that, but come on. You're telling me that, like, the last stock trades were done 20 minutes before the announce. Yeah. We believe you. We believe you that they didn't know. Yeah, Equihacks. Well, Uber was hacked in 2016. They got around 600,000 driver's license numbers, email addresses, phone numbers, etc. Whole big deal. And they completely covered it up. Well, of course, the new CEO's comes out, finds out about this, releases the information like, They had no idea. But you know what? That doesn't excuse them. This company, do you realize right now, I believe, if I'm following my numbers correctly, this makes 7 current active lawsuits against Uber. Can we just shut the company down until these are all solved? Just shut it down. Shut it down. These guys are unscrupulous morons. And remember, every time you call an Uber, a poor kitty like this gets clubbed. You don't want to club a poor little kitty like this, right? You don't. So don't call an Uber. But you know, the thing is, though, is they have so many lawsuits. They've done so many unscrupulous things. There's so many challenges. At what point in time do we say, okay, company, stop? You're just stopped for a while. Maybe if you're found innocent in 3 out of these 7 lawsuits, we'll let you reopen. Skirting every law, not caring about safety, not reporting things, running over laws, the California issue. Shut these idiots down. Just shut them down. Trust me, something else will come and take its place. But that's Uber. And of course, Colorado fines Uber $8.9 million for allowing dozens of unauthorized drivers, literally people with suspended, revoked, or canceled driver's license. Okay. Let's see, do we have a number? 57 drivers in the last 18 months to drive who should not have been permitted to drive for the company. This is a major deal. So yeah, they fined them $8.9 million. Can we just make that $8.9 trillion and put them into bankruptcy and let them not be bought out by anybody? I mean, this company is, these guys are unscrupulous. They care more about the money than anything else. Maybe this good new CEO will turn it around, but I'm not holding my breath. Just crazy. PUC found 12 Uber drivers had felony convictions. One had even escaped from prison and was nevertheless allowed to drive with Uber. What was that quote from a George Carlin? You want to be behind the bank robber on his way home from work. Talking about what lane to get into. Recently discovered a process error that was inconsistent with Colorado's ride-sharing regulations and proactively notified Colorado Public Utilities Commission, Uber said. Yeah. Error affected a small number of drivers who immediately took corrective behavior because they found out about it. Those pesky government guys, if they didn't find out about it, we wouldn't have had to change anything because we don't care. We don't care. Oh, boy, that's Uber. That's Uber for you. All right. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Use Linux because I think many of the viruses that spread on the internet do not affect Linux users. That is very true, but this isn't a virus or anything with these keyloggers. These are scripts intentionally put into the website by data tracking. Basically, the big company buys a package from a big-name data miner, implements the scripts under the guise it's going to help them target their audience better. These aren't malware. It's JavaScript code. Now, you could run your computer without JavaScript, or the other way you could block these as well is by, there's an add-on on Firefox. I'm not sure if it's going to work with Quantum, but it's called Policeman. And basically what Policeman does is it will block every script that is not directly from the URL of the site you're on. It blocks everything. And most of these scripts are put in by cloud distribution networks. But I took the time to track all these things down and put them in. There's actually 2 companies that I couldn't find a way to block them directly because basically it requires them to register an app. So the script was different. If you actually check the host file, I tell you which 2 of those are, and you make a firewall rule to block those ones. Oh, boy. I'm going to need that cat. Depends on the user level. Not for long. Okay. Prefer to take the MTA than an Uber. Yep. Tom plus Uber equals fire. Yeah. Save a kitty. Boycott Uber. That needs to be a meme. Let's turn this cat into a meme. Save a kitty. Boycott Uber. I browse the internet on a user level. I never use the internet on an administrative account. Yep. Is it only tech that you rail against, or are you morally dedicated to the rule of law? Am I morally dedicated to the rule of law? Okay, I am morally dedicated to the rule of law so long as the rule of law is not radically inappropriate or violating Scripture. Because as a Christian, the Bible does tell us to obey the ruling authorities. And that's why, speeding is wrong. Okay? You got to obey the laws. But the challenge and the reason I rail against all this stuff is there's no laws against any of this. And we need to have laws against this stuff. So really, I mean, I'm certainly not an anti-company. I'm not an anti-business guy. But I am anti-huge business because, in fact, the last couple articles, let's go back to that topic after we do the last couple articles because I think we'll be able to have a better conversation after we talk about that. All right, is Lyft any better? I don't know. Rule of law across all spectrums of society. You don't exactly need root to gather intel on someone on Linux. No, not really. Created the official TechBismo website. It sucks. TechBismo, shoot me the link to it. I'll have a look at it and give you some tips. Okay, use a virtual machine when I'm dealing with Facebook. That's a good way to do it. I use cubes to deal with Facebook. That's what I do. Greetings, Shutter. How are you? The cat has a better bed than me. Yeah, I built that bed. Actually, underneath the cat is where my printers and a few other accessories sit, but they like looking out windows, and so I was like, I had those shelves, and they like that sleeping bag, so I put the plastic shelves, I threw the sleeping bag on top of it, and they get the chance to look right out the window. And this one particularly, whatever room I'm in, he likes hanging out. The other cat usually is actually around, might even be in the room, but she always likes being off to the side somewhere. She doesn't like being in the limelight. This guy likes being in the limelight, don't you? You like being in the limelight, huh? Yeah? All right. Just realized it's a kitty cam, not a still photo. Yes, it is. It is a living kitty. Who knows what Facebook puts into their user systems? Yeah. Back. So, do you use the Android phone now? The Android is on my business line. The iPhone is on my personal line, at least for now. I'm slow on moving tech around. And the wind is cold, winter is here, had some White Castle stuffing last night. Ooh, I remember the White Castles. I remember those are like a... Yeah, I remember seeing a White Castle crisscrossing the country as many times as I did. Having to drive through Chicago. Picked up some vintage computers this week. Going to try and install Linux on them. Sweet. We'll track what websites you go to. That will track what websites you go to and what you type. Well, the Keyloggers tracks data on those websites, on those forums, if that's what we're talking about. techbismo.github.io. All right. Okay. Good here. Yep, my day's going all right. Where am I located? The state. I'm in State College, Pennsylvania. Learn more code first. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some bad business. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and use my corporatocracy banner. It's not technically corporatocracy, but well, maybe a little bit. But let's go ahead and dive into that. Okay, so this was a neat article. Chinese students claim they worked for illegal overtime making the iPhone X. The teens say the school made them intern at Foxconn, but Apple said it was voluntary. Yeah, of course Apple said it was voluntary, because otherwise it makes them look like jerks. All right. So basically what's going on is Foxconn is this company that produces these iPhones and the components. So basically a bunch of teenagers came out, 17 and 19-year-olds, claimed they'd worked 11-hour days on a regular basis at the factory, and they were forced by the school to work there, and the work had nothing to do with our studies. In a statement, Foxconn said all work was voluntary and compensated appropriately, but interns did work some overtime in violation of our policy. Yeah, remember this. When you buy a $1,000 iPhone X, it costs $370 for Apple to make, and they're manufacturing it by Chinese children. Foxconn is so bad They put suicide nets around their building because of the propensity of people who jump off the building. These are some of those reasons why I'm done with Apple. I will, the only instances I will replace the Apple products I have is merely for testing purposes as I go about my regular day job work. And I'm certainly not buying anything new. In fact, I don't think I've ever bought anything new from Apple. I never have. Their prices are too expensive. But if you can find good aftermarket stuff, that's not bad. But they used to work really well as a good ecosystem. I don't think they do anymore. But yeah, so this is Apple. Of course, Apple, we had no knowledge of this. Yes, they did. They actually did. It was very clear from some other documents. But, this is bad. These companies are getting I'm forgetting my business terminology. You get 200% markup on these phones manufactured by children in another country. And we're like, iPhone 10, iPhone 10, iPhone 10. And then I started watching a bunch of iPhone 10 reviews. I find so many of them disingenuous. Many of them are like, I'm just going to keep on giving this review I'm giving because if I say anything bad, then I'll never get one again or I'll be demonetized or whatever else, because that's kind of what Apple was doing. But that's kind of sleazy. So Apple, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you putting children in disadvantaged companies hard labor at work so you can make boatloads of cash on your Apple sheeple people. I don't know. Apple sheeple people. Oh, some Instacart workers. I never actually heard if this strike happened. This would have been last week. But basically, Instacart workers were to strike. So basically, this is a service where you can go on. It's kind of like Uber for your shopping. You go in, you put your order through. They got a driver, and they go out. They shop for you. They drop it off. You pay, and the driver will get a commission and or a tip. Actually, a commission and a tip. I don't know if the tip is mandatory or optional. And the reason I bring this up is this is the direction a lot of our world is going. Contract workers and contract employees. And I've done this for several different types of companies, and it rarely is a good deal. So when I first left teaching and as I was building up my web design business, I said, well, I'm going to do something that I can do flexibly on the side. And so I signed up with a group called Tutor.com. So let's go ahead and have a look at Tutor.com's website. I haven't been there for a long time, but let's go ahead and have a look at Tutor.com's website. Probably only had a couple people working for them at the time. Let's look at their pricing structure. Okay, so their price, this is like 3 or 4 guys worked at this company when I was there effectively. Everyone else was contract. 1 hour a month is $40. Let's see, 1 hour per month is $40. So you could do 3 hours for $14. What is 3 hours for $14? $114.99 divided by 3. So you got a $1.66% discount. Okay. $1.66 discount. So you're basically paying $4. Now understand this. I started Tutor.com and they're like, these are requirements, all these, and the requirements were bogus. A lot of the people I was working with as other contract tutors, literally undergrad college students. These are your tutors. I was a college professor. I was a former college professor with a PhD in this field. I got $12 an hour. It became not worth my time. So I quit pretty quick. So literally, they're paying me peanuts. And now that was almost, it wasn't quite 10 years ago. It was almost 10 years ago, like 7 or 8 years ago. So I'm sure prices have gone up a lot. I'm sure their prices have gone up a lot, and I'm sure the contractors' prices haven't. Because I did work as a contractor for another company where they were actually a startup and they wanted PhDs specifically. You had to have teaching experience at a college or university level, and you had to have a bare minimum of a master's, but they wanted PhDs. But that company was a very small business, very, very scrupulous, and so they actually paid us like $35 an hour. That was worth my time. And so that was good. But then that company ended up being bought out by one of these big college textbook companies, and they laid all of us off who had good degrees because they realized they could cut the rate in half. They could hire college and high school flunkies to simply man the calls and read phone scripts and pay them half what they were paying us. And that's kind of how these contract things work. That's how Uber works. That's how Lyft works. All these things, you get paid not nearly enough. You get paid a whole lot less than is legally allowable than if you were an employee. And in a lot of cases, they really cross that line, and you really do become quote unquote employees, even if they're not claiming it. And if you challenge that, they could very well be liable for a lot, because here's what's at stake. If you're a contractor, that is considered self-employment income, and you have to pay the extra self-employment tax on top of that, which means that when you have a regular job, you have a FICA tax taken out of it. Well, your employer also pays the equal amount. The exact amount that your FICA tax is on your paycheck stub, your employer also put that exact amount in. When you are self-employed, so all of 100% of the income that I have, every time I would have to pay that, I had to pay twice as much. And when you are a contract, you have to pay that percentage. But if you can prove that your job, you are actually an employee and not a contractor, then the company will have to come in and reimburse you and pay all that back plus an extra fine. But a lot of them get away with this because of the terms and conditions and things like that. So what was going on here is apparently something had happened and the wages people were getting were cut in half. Now, of course, Instacart sent them contact information for 2 or 3 super high level guys. Kind of like if you imagine, if you like follow the old Amway stuff, like they sent you the contact information for the diamond so you can sit there and go, yeah, I make $700 bajillion a month on this stuff. All the little peons down there at the bottom, they don't make nothing. In fact, they go bankrupt supporting me and buying all this stuff I'm telling them to buy, but I'm making lots of money. That's essentially what they did. They're like, yeah, we put you in contact with our high level guys, and you know, the guys that were doing well were making up to around $20 an hour. Not bad, but the average person was making about $1 an hour. So it's kind of like what you're seeing. So this guy here, like all of this water was $1.20 commission. I think it was the next page. I think some of these guys were actually sending out the information. So here is $66 for 9 hours. So these are some comparisons. So this was February 27. This was October 16. October 16th. So 8 hours, 142 versus 8 hours, 75. So somewhere over the course of this year, the amount of money people were making was cut in half. Let's see the next one. This is 19 hours for $40. That was exciting. Fire me up. 4 hours, $4. Yeah. Here's 2016, 2017. So October, same month, same week. Worked 7 hours, made $159. 8 hours, made $64. That's what people are talking about. So when you look at these, it's, I mean, you're not really making a whole lot of money on these. And so that's kind of what the issue was. And so now there, of course, all these guys have binding arbitration, so they can't go in there and do anything about it other than sit there and go, you know. All right. Oh boy, oh boy, lots of comments. Lots of comments. I didn't mark where I was, apparently. Taught tech business from HTML as well. Got W3 school to do it. All right, cool. Went on my Facebook for extracurriculars and saw how they capture and identify people from their pictures. It's quite creepy. Yeah, it's exciting. Not only HTML, CSS, go for Python, then PHP. No, Chateau, not for web design. No, you don't want to mess with Python in C and C++ in web design. PHP for web design. You really don't need PHP much for web design. You need it for development. If you're building back-end applications and things like that, you want to do PHP. But for front-end UI development, like front-end UI design, you don't need PHP. You definitely don't need C or C++ for basically building a website. I mean, great things to learn, just not for website design. 17 and 19 years old. I bet they have 10 to 12 years of work experience already. Probably. Ruby, Ruby's kind of, you want to learn Ruby if you want to learn iOS apps. iOS apps are done in Ruby. It's kind of a much more modular type system. I don't know Ruby personally, but it's a very modularized type system. I would focus first on HTML, CSS. Become masters of HTML, CSS, and jQuery. Those are the things to become a master at first. That'll give you your front-end design. That's your lower end of web design. And then you can move into something more like maybe learn some WordPress through PHP type stuff, do some PHP, and then you'd probably want to jump out into some of those module packages later. Greetings, Anarita. CJ. Smile for the camera. Anarita just came on. Alright. Clearly it was child labor. Where are the SJW screaming on the issue? They don't want to scream on the issue because that would affect their awesome iPhones and stuff. Windows and Apple have always been shameful. Yep. Pretty much. Oh. I think the kitty's leaving me. Oh, kitty's coming over this way. Oh, you want to come up here? Come up here? Alright. There you go, kitty. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Wonk, kitty. Alright. Okay, usually the operating systems need built C, C++, assembly language. You know when you're done because I have a question. I have 3 articles left, so when I get to the bottom of this, we're going to jump back over the articles and go ahead and ask it, and I'll hit the rest of these on the way out. C++ better for heavy resource applications. I believe that is the case. Just don't forget your semicolons. Python is a good language to learn, yep. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do, though. If you're trying to do websites, you don't need to mess with Python. If you're trying to build programs, Python is probably where you want to start, either Python or C. Okay, see how Facebook identifies someone in the picture? You click on the face in the picture, redirect to their account. Yep. Yeah, Python is easier than PHP, but Python doesn't... Python is something you can build web applications in, but as far as web design scripting language, that's what PHP is for. You hear about the IME bug? Yes, Ryan, I talked about it earlier in the program. Facebook data collection, where the users do all the work for the company. Yep. Yep, indeed. Yep, indeed. What's up, Kitty? Alright, we have our last couple websites to hit here. So let's go ahead and wrap this train home. Let me bring to the top of that. So first we want to talk about, this is neat, so a couple Amazon things. So, of course, in all disclosures, I start railing on Amazon. I have an Amazon affiliate account down in the links below. If you do want to shop on Amazon, you can use my link down there and help support us. But anyway, we're going to talk about some of the darker side of Amazon. So workers at Amazon's main Italian hub, German warehouses, all went on strike on Black Friday, basically saying we're mandated to work way too many hours for, way too long for way too little income, and basically they wanted to go on a big strike. So they wanted a big strike, and haven't heard if that's really impacting anything, but pretty much they're just like, yeah, no, we're not shipping anything. So I guess if you're on that part of the world, you know. See you later, JJ Game, if you're still here. All right, so of course, this is an interesting question because these people are saying basically they're striking for not making enough money. And I didn't look up the exact wage of what they make. But pretty much the union says, let's see, they agreed to strike following a failure to negotiate bonuses with the company. So they're looking for bonuses. Keep that in mind. They're looking for bonuses. The company's like, no, we're not paying any bonuses. You're lucky to have a job. Get over it, whiners. Go to work. That's what they're trying to do. So it begs that question. How many employees do they have? Well, here's their total employment. Of course, here's Google, here's Microsoft, and here's Amazon. So they've been shooting up for a while. So as of now, fourth quarter 2016, so this is almost a year ago, 341,000 employees is what Amazon has. So it's like, yeah, they got a lot there, okay? Now, we're going to keep something in a frame of reference, though. Here is Jeff Bezos' net income as of today. Surpasses $100 billion. So let's do a little bit of math, shall we? I'm going to grab out my geeky scientific calculator. Let's just say that Jeff Bezos, we're going to take away $1 billion, just $1 billion. He can keep $99 billion, okay? We're going to take $1 billion of his, and we are going to divide it among his 31,000 employees that they could not figure out a good bonus schedule. Well, that means that they could pay $2,932 bonus to all of their employees across their board. And Jeff Bezos still gets to keep $99 billion. Now, I know that's Jeff Bezos, not Amazon, whatever. But this is a problem. And the reason I bring this up is there was a time in this country when a company CEO or a president, they would definitely make more than the guy on the floor. And they probably should. But it used to be like 10 times, 20 times, kind of got crazy. We're talking about the average Amazon employee here in the States is, if I remember my numbers correctly, I think it was $15 an hour, maybe. And I think that's being generous. Which means if they don't take a vacation and they do manage to work 34 hours or 40 hours a week, they get the 40 hours a week and they don't take a vacation, that means that before taxes, they're making a gross income of $31,000. So the head of the company is worth $100 billion. The guys on the ground are not even making enough money to pay their bills, to buy insurance, to have their car, and to actually live with a few minor luxuries. This is the problem we have right now. They could not negotiate a $3,000 bonus, and the head of their company only comes down with, I mean, he would just give up $1 billion, one of his $100 billion. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is way, way, way out of line for a company to not treat their employees better. And that's a problem. And that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, where there was a comment. They said we go back to that because the thing is with the companies, I'm not against companies. But when a company gets that bad, that where the CEO, the CFO, the executive team is making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in bonuses, and your guys on the ground are barely skimping to pay bills, we got a problem. Okay? And I'm sorry, I get, sure, founder of the company, he needs more money, for sure. I'm not saying take it all away. But what I am saying is we have way too much income disparagement. And what can we do? What can we do? So that's just one example. Of course, I talked about the, if you watch my tinfoil hat time from a few weeks back, I talked about the internet overlords. Look at the wage gaps in those. The wage gaps are too high right now. There's way too much money in the hands of way too few people. And I'm not a socialist at all. That's a bad idea. Because when you start deeply incentivizing people by just giving them a bunch of money or giving them their stuff, that's bad. But we're talking about 34,000 very hardworking people that just want to be able to pay their bills without worrying about it next month. These are hardworking people. We're not talking about losers who are living in their mother's basement playing video games all day. We're talking about people who are working very hard and simply trying to make ends meet. That's what we're talking about here. And so that kind of ties that back into where I was going. Program machines and robots. C++. Okay, I'm agreeing with that one. Okay. See a ton of money being made with C and C++. That's correct. And I'll tell you, if I had the time, I'd be spending a whole lot of time right now learning programming, learning a lot more of it. Because I have an extremely high aptitude for programming. I just made the decision back when, when I could have taken that branch. I made the decision not to because programming compilers were too expensive. Now they're free and open source. Welcome to 2017. So, and that's the thing, is that we have so much more. You guys who are young in high school now, you have so much more opportunity than we ever had. Because if I wanted to do any of that programming, it just wasn't practical because I didn't have the resources to buy compilers to actually play with it. Other than the school computers, and that was it, and that's why I didn't go into it. But if I had the time right now, if I didn't have to work so many hours right now, I'd be tinkering with programming and doing some neat stuff because there is money in programming right now. Absolutely. Much more innovation in creating software to data mine and sell it. Yep, indeed. Not good, but indeed, that's the truth. Okay. Going to learn C++ and Java about 20 years ago, and I never did. Taking an early start is a good idea. Yep. Also, though, if you want to learn apps, Android apps, you want to learn Java, iOS apps, you want to learn Ruby, but C is for general applications. And Python first, too. I mean, Python's good as well. So, okay. Remember when Microsoft was about actual innovation, not collecting people's data? Yeah, those were the good old days. VB6 and got stuck doing VB6. I did VB myself. I did VB and C++. My employment choices have put the spark out, sadly. Yeah, that's what happens. Happened where my wife works. She was a nurse at a gastrointestinal office. The office took over. A good CEO retired. Is a crook, but they build a big new facility and keep hiring more overpaid doctors, but they say they can't afford to give any nurses any raises, but they're cutting back on Christmas bonuses. That's sad. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's really sad. Biggest issue is I want to write decent error checking, but employment doesn't have time for it. Everything is that'll do. Don't worry about it as attitude. Yeah. Hoping very soon all the SJW nonsense can stop so we don't have to worry about being dragged into the political stuff. Yeah. Oh, well, we've hit the bottom of the comments. We've hit the bottom of the news articles, and I haven't had dinner yet, so I think I want to get off here and make something quite exciting. A few more comments coming in. Taking a look at any Jordan Peterson stuff. HJW aside, is very encouraging and helpful. Okay. My brother is a programmer here in Canada, and he is not rich, but makes a nice money compared to myself and my wife, of which I run my own small daycare and wide nurse as a nurse, but I am happy to pay the bills. Yep, that's the thing. I find for me the best defense against all of this crap is just being a minimalist. Because when you don't care about all the fancy stuff, you're a lot better off. You really are. Right, Kitty? Right, Kitty? You're better off? Are you better off as a kitty? Oh, you want my microphone now, do you? Okay. All right. He sees the microphone ball, and he's like, I want to play with that. What? You want to play with my microphone? Okay. Many of the lessons about life from my parents and teachers. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up right by feeding the kitty. It's the end of the live stream, and the end of my live streams, if you're new, the end of my live streams, we feed the kitty. Kitty likes temptations. Kitty's excited for temptations. Yeah, he is. Whoa, right here, buddy. In the camera so people can see. Yes. This is his payment for coming on the live streams. Because we know that he's why this channel grows so fast. Yes. Oh, yeah. Good kitty. Oh, that's it. That's all you get. All you get, buddy. That's your payment. Your job's done. All right, guys. Have yourself a good one. Reminder for all you jumping on here. Tinfoil hat time tomorrow will be at 5 o'clock. We're going to be experimenting with 5 o'clock tinfoil hat times. So check us out tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time. That's 5 o'clock Eastern time. Tinfoil hat time. We will catch you guys later.